This is the Concept 1B, a Tier 10 American collector heavy tank that has been super strong ever since it came into the game a couple years ago in the Christmas event. To start off, its gun. It deals 380 damage on its standard, 330 on the premium, and 500 on the HE. This is okay, but 380 on the standard is kind of low, and you are going to get out-traded by a lot of Tier 10 heavies, so keep that in mind. As for its pen, 271 on the standard, 341 on the premium, and 58 on the HE is okay, although the premium at 341, you are going to struggle to pen tanks like the E100, the Mouse, the Yag, anything that can run enhanced or has like a lot of turret armor, you are going to really struggle to pen. Even tanks like the IS-7, penning the lower plate, you sometimes have to load gold at certain angles, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. As for the gun handling, its dispersion at 0.317 is pretty good, and same with the aim time at 3 seconds. It means you are going to be able to hit a decent amount of your shells. And its DPM at 2800 using calibrated is also good. You can get it to 3k with rammer, although I do recommend you use calibrated to get the max amount of pen that you can. The tank also carries 10 degrees of gun depression, and we're going to get into why that's important in a bit. As for the mobility, a top speed of 45 forwards and 16 reverse is really good for a heavy tank. It means you can get into your hull down spots and get aggressive in the tank quite easily early game. And it also carries the emergency track mechanic, which is featured on the Yo. Now, in the description, it says it goes 4 kilometers backwards after the track is destroyed. This is actually untrue. It goes 7. I don't know why Wargaming hasn't fixed the description on this tank's like thing here, but it actually goes 7. So just don't worry about that. And its power to weight of 18 is okay. You're gonna pretty much get up to top speed before you get to your spot. As for the armor, this is where the tank really shines. It has insane hull down armor, and I can't say that enough. Insane hull down armor. Most tier 10s are going to really struggle to pen you, and for the most part, you're going to see people resort to shooting HE at your turret. It's pretty funny, actually. So the only weak spot, there is a small hatch on the top of the tank, and the roof of the turret is fairly weak. So if there are tanks that are looking down at you, they are going to be able to pen the roof of your turret fairly reliably. So do watch out for that. As for the hull of this tank, it's pretty crap, I'm going to be honest. The hull has no armor, at the front at least. So the lower plate is really weak, and so is the upper plate. Both of those you do not want to show, like, ever. You don't want to give the enemy a chance to shoot those. In terms of side scraping, the tank is fairly good at side scraping, although you do have the engine deck that does stick out at the back there, and people can shoot at that if you are in a side scraping position and you do angle it too much. So do watch out for that as well. As for this map here, Lagoon, I would say this is a pretty good map for this tank, especially on heavy side, which we have gone now. R57 just absolutely got destroyed. I don't know how he did that, but we are going to track the Super Conch, and I'm going to fight this guy hull down as much as I can. Using our turret armor, he should have a really hard time penning us, although since he is above me, I mean, it doesn't matter anymore, but he was able to actually shoot my lower plate because he had enough gun depression to do so. As for the 57, I'm not going to be able to really deal with him like completely hull down. I am going to have to show my lower plate a little bit to shoot him, but he's out of shells anyways, and he just got absolutely nuked, so it doesn't matter. And he's dead. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'm going to go back towards this IS-7 and basically keep my tank in this mid area. If you are going heavy side on this map like I have, keeping your tank in mid is a really good idea, because tanks like this IS-7 don't have much gun depression. They are gonna struggle to deal with you. In a face hug, this tank is really solid. Most tanks won't be able to shoot down at your upper plate due to the fact that most tier 10 heavies don't have a crazy amount of gun depression. So you are going to be a really strong opponent in a face hug, especially if you wiggle your turret and gun around so they can't shoot at these like rounded side spots beside your turret. That's what's really going to get you wins in 1v1s. Sheridan got absolutely nuked, and this game is basically over, so I'm just going to full send to Patton at this point. I don't know why he's shooting at me, but to each their own. Patton's going to get nuked. Yeah, there we go. And the grill is frontlining. I don't know what to say. This is just going to be a very quick win. I'm going to shoot at the grill because I want damage. And that's about it for this game. Overall, we still did 3,000 damage, which is pretty solid. Oh, wow. Okay. I guess I'm going to shoot the Progetto. And I'm probably going to die to him, too. But, oh well. That's okay. So, pretty solid game. Our DPM was able to get us over 3K, which is pretty surprising considering how quick that game actually was. But you are going to notice in this tank, with its nice DPM, you are going to be able to get out some pretty solid games in it. Just because you can keep shooting and shooting your opponents over and over again. And most tier 10 heavies won't be able to out DPM you. Yeah, so it's pretty good. Anyways, 3.4k damage is pretty solid for the first game. Now, normally I would do another game live in this tank. However, I did get a really, really nice replay yesterday in this tank, so I'm going to show that instead. So we're on Himmelsdorf. And we're up against some tanks that have really solid turret armor. So, like, the Type 71 is going to be a problem. The E100 especially is going to be an issue if he does get a good angle on me. And for that reason, I'm going to wait and see where our team goes. Normally, I would go this side of the map, like D, because there's a lot of mounds, especially on Himmelsdorf. There's a lot of good haul-down spots for a tank like mine. The tank isn't very tall, so you are able to use most terrain to your advantage, which is a really, really good thing. Having a low profile in a tank like this really makes you effective on most maps, simply because you can hide your hull, which is very small in this case, against your opponents. So we're just going to shoot at the Vickers right now. He's capping the base. I wanted to deny him that cap initially, and he's kind of sitting there in the open, so why not get some free shots out? As for our team, they're very split right now. Our two heavies went to the right, and the rest of our team's kind of sitting on the left, but they haven't really pushed up. They're kind of still sitting back here in a way. And that's not great, because their team is going to be able to advance really far into our spawn. And our TVP also kind of just YOLO'd his tank and died, which is, that's great, bro. Anyways, the E100's not a very good player, so I kind of just got a free shell into him when he poked that. And, yeah, so overall this it's not looking terrible at the moment, but it's also not looking great. We are down a tank at the moment, and we have lost all of medium side, which means that we're kind of boxed in right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the amazing turret armor on this mound of dirt right here against this E100. He is not going to be able to pen me from here, and luckily for me, we have just enough pen because we're running calibrated shells that he's on flat ground, so we are able to go right through his turret. Now, if this guy was any better, he would be angling his turret, and there would be no way we would ever get through it. But because he's not the best player, he's kind of just staring right at us. And look at that, he's resorted to shooting HE because he can't pen my tank. That's what you're going to find in a lot of high alpha damage tanks, is people just resort to shooting HE at your turret, which is a little bit annoying, but it is what it is. As for this TVP, I have no idea why he did that, but I was kind of hoping that he would get nuked by our AMX behind us. Unfortunately, he doesn't. And with that, we're down 2 tanks now, and our AMX is a one-shot to basically most of their heavies on the enemy team. So this is not looking very good anymore, and now he's just a one-shot in general to everything. So I'm going to back up. I get a nice clear into that E100, but I'm going to back up just so this TVP doesn't get around me and YOLO me for free. We get a nice HE into his tank. So although this tank has really bad HE pen at 58, if you do get the side of tanks like TVBs or Leopards or any medium with squishy side armor, you're going to be able to do a lot of damage, because 500 HE damage on a gun like this is really, really nice. The 183 makes a really weird play, and I'm able to get 2 free shells out because of it. So that brings us over 5,000 damage already, which is pretty crazy. And we're still looking good. So my goal right now is to kill this 183. I really don't want him flanking me, especially if I leave this position. Luckily, he does miss the shot, and the TVP gets absolutely nuked, so that's amazing for me. Now that I know the 183 is on a reload, I have about 19 seconds to get him cleared, which is fine because I can just average roll him, and then I ram him for the kill. And that brings us over 6,000 damage. All that's left now is just an E3 who is kind of oblivious to us, and you're going to see this in a second. The HE damage is really nice. We get an amazing max roll for 625 into his ass. And then all that's left is the STB. This guy just kind of runs around for the rest of the game, and I get really bored, so I go over here and just cap the base and just basically wait until he gets killed. And that's that for that game. So 6,700 damage in this game is pretty solid, especially for a map that's mostly flat terrain. But you can see, even on a map like Himmelsdorf, with that flat terrain, you can find little mounds to use your hull down capabilities on. You get an ace, and we do top on the team. That's a pretty good showcase of the concept. It's a really, really good tank if you are able to get your hands on it for 25,000 gold, which I believe is like the average price it comes out for in the shop. I would say it's worth it, although it is kind of expensive, I know. But just for it's so much fun to just sit hull down, and it's really, really, really strong right now. And it has been. The concept's always been a really strong tank. And yeah, so I recommend you pick it up if you can. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.